Just before this video starts, I'm just kidding. There's no ad this time. My name's Fico. Let's get into it. Sammy Sosa is one of the most symbolic figures from baseball's super happy fun juice time era. These are both the same person, by the way. He uses a cream that has bleach in it, so that's why his skin got lighter over time. Hello, my cat is meowing. You want to say something to the people? Nice. He's most notoriously known for allegedly pumping his body full of make me big boy drugs and smashing balls out of stadiums. Like, really smashing them. 3 times in his career, he hit over 60 home runs in one season and made baseball really fun. To a whole generation of kids, he was the guy who always hit a b-hop after hitting a home run. But here's the thing, even before he definitely absolutely was not cheating at all whatsoever, he was still pretty good at baseball.
Stole 16 bases, and he rips one into left field. How about that for a major league debut?
Sammy to this day denies any steroid use.
Did you use any performance-enhancing drugs at any time in your career?
I never had a test positive in this country.
Well, according to the New York Times, you did test positive.
A lot of people did.
There's a difference between not testing positive and not doing it. And you're saying you didn't do it?
Once again, I never text any, positive.
Hey guys, it's Editor Fico. I know the cutting makes this look like I took it out of context. I did that for copyright. So the full video will be in the description, just so you can watch it yourself and make your own decision based on what I showed. But, anyways, back to the video. And there are people in the baseball community that say the evidence stacked against him is pretty flimsy. But before all of that, before the home run record chase with Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa was a good but forgotten presence in the early to mid 90s. And we're gonna tell you all about him, especially the half of his career that a lot of people don't really know about. And by we, I mean myself, SRS Fico, and RBT, who will be joining us later in the video. Oh, and if you feel so inclined, go congratulate RBT on hitting 1 million subs. That's a crazy milestone. And as always, it's a requirement as a YouTuber to ask. Please drop a like and a sub on this video if you enjoyed the content. Anyways, let's get back to Sammy Sosa. It's slammin' Sammy time. 1998 was the year Sammy Sosa became a household name.
The 2-1 to Sammy, swung on, high drive, deep toward right. Back goes Guerrero. He's at the track. He's at the wall, and Sammy unties the game.
But the point I really want to make is that even before that, he was still good. So we're going to talk about everything that happened before his name rivaled that of Ludwig and that guy who doesn't speak English. Sosa spent the first few years of his career as a top prospect, playing for teams such as the Texas Rangers and Chicago White Sox. He was a streaky young player for the first few years of his career, just trying to get his feet wet. And probably something else too. He stole 32 bases in 1990 when he was only 21, so it's not like the talent wasn't there. His White Sox career ended in probably the worst way it could have for a Sox fan. He was traded just across the street to the Cubs. He played his first full season with the Cubs, and he went off. 33 homers, 36 stolen bases, 93 RBI, 485 slugging percentage, and 4.6 F-WAR, which is usually just shy of all-star level. He was the first ever Chicago Cub to hit 30 homers and steal 30 bases in a season, and he was just 24 years old when he did it. The next year was shortened because of a strike, but Sammy was still making good strides in his career. 25 homers, a 300 batting average, and being about 27% better than the average hitter by OPS plus is nothing to scoff at. And his WAR per game was on pace to be a huge improvement over 1993. I guess you could say, when baseball came back from the whole workers' rights debate thing, you could find Sammy at the 1995 MLB All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. Because, oh yeah, he was still hitting tanks. 36 home runs, 119 RBIs, a slugging percentage of 500 for the second year in a row. This meant he was averaging hitting for at least a single every other bat. He was also really durable out there, leading the NL in games played in 95. Something he'd do a lot. Baseball at this point had figured out that there's more to Sammy Sosa than just home runs. He could throw quicker than the Olympics throwing out Michael Phelps for smoking weed. He was, you could say, hosing them hoes.
And here comes Morris, and what a throw. Morris is dead at third. Sammy, you the man.
95 was also the second year of his career that he stole 30 bases in the same year he hit 30 homers. Only the 6th guy to do that in multiple seasons ever. Editor Fico back once again. He also finished 8th in the NL MVP voting that year, so it's pretty dope. The next year, he got up to 40 bombs for the first time. 2 of them were walk-offs against the Mets in a span of 3 games. Because who doesn't love the Mets, am I right?
It's about the Mets, baby. Love the Mets. All right, baby. Let's go. Get a home run, baby. Love the Mets. Let's go, Mets.
Still, up to 100 RBI and setting a career high in slugging and WAR. This was a guy who just kept getting better. And we're still 2 years before he hit 66 homers in a season. Fun little side note, he also got his very own Beanie Baby. Also, another top 15 snag in the MVP voting this year too. And a really cool looking baseball card, just straight posted up. In the last year before he really popped off, he was still a fairly underground right fielder. He also still smacked 36 homers, tied his career RBI best with 119, and played in all 162 games, which is an accomplishment in and of itself. Let's recap. His Cubs tenure before he hit the mainstream looked like this: 178 homers, 147 stolen bases, a slugging percentage of 500, a 115 OPS plus, and 22.4 F-WAR. Pretty damn good stretch of 6 years. Alright, fine. Now that we got all that stuff out of the way, let's move on to the stuff that you probably really want to hear about. The era where Sammy started crushing pitchers harder than the hydraulic press channel. And to kick off that part of his career, here's a childhood Sammy Sosa fan who also happens to make some pretty good YouTube videos.
I probably could sit in this chair for over an hour and talk nothing but Sammy Sosa, so I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but Sammy Sosa, the man who got me into sports. He was my hero growing up, and I'm sure that was the same for so many other young kids out there. When I think of Sammy Sosa, the first thing you think of is the home run hop. Honestly, one of the most iconic celebrations in baseball history, if not sports history. If Sammy Sosa was hopping right after he made contact, as a kid, you had to smile because you knew that ball was going over the fence. And the one thing that just stood out to me as a kid was just how much joy this man played with, and not to mention how productive this guy was throughout his career, especially in his prime. I mean, you knew this guy was gonna have a pretty special career when he hit his first MLB dinger against Roger Clemens. Being a guy as talented as he was, and being a guy that played with as much passion and joy as he did, of course he was gonna be a fan favorite. Being one of 9 players to hit over 600 home runs, and not even to mention what he did alongside Mark McGwire for the sport itself. Honestly, think about that. Would baseball even be remotely close to where it is today without the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire home run chase? If you look at prime Sammy Sosa and the numbers that he put up, it's absolutely mind-boggling, and I genuinely don't think enough people appreciate Sammy Sosa enough for how talented he was and how much he actually did for the sport. Yes, I do know there were some negatives towards the end of his career, and since then, that doesn't take away the fact that this guy was my hero, and I'm sure there's so many others just like me that feel the same and feel like if it wasn't for Sammy Sosa, we might have never even got into sports to begin with. You just watch a guy play with that much passion, that much fun, that much talent, and you throw in the little home run bunny hop, you just couldn't help for him to be one of your favorites.
Thanks, RBT. 402 homers, 1,025 RBI, a 287 batting average, 145 OPS plus, 37.2 WAR, a few bonus homers in Japan too, and a little victory emote on top of them. Those numbers are from the final 9 seasons of his career after the point we cut off earlier. In 1998, he had the most total bases of anyone since 1948, and then he eventually topped that number. He is the only guy in history to hit 60 homers in 3 different seasons. He was once branded as a top 100 player in the history of baseball, and was considered cool enough to be invited to just kind of hang out at one of Bill Clinton's speeches one time. This is a guy who transcended baseball, but you'll probably never see him in the Hall of Fame. He's very rarely seen around the game anymore to begin with. Having to plead your innocence for something in front of the US government isn't usually a good look. And for Sammy, being branded by the average fan as a steroid cheater has completely tarnished every last bit of his legacy. Whether or not you believe him is one thing, but this video exists to remind the world of a side of him that no one really sees anymore. The player he was before all the controversy. There's a reason we spent so little time by comparison talking about the stuff you already knew about. People see that with Barry Bonds, they see it with A-Rod, and some even see it with Manny Ramirez.
Runner goes. And no throw by Lopez.
The Hall of Fame writers are never going to have sight of that again. But maybe you do need to separate the good from the bad in his career. 609 big league homers and not one of them mattering anymore in the eyes of baseball history. But little did everyone know, Sammy was a fun young player before all the controversy too. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Again, I can never say it enough. I really do appreciate it. I have been SRS Fico. Follow me on Twitter, YouTube, all that sort of stuff will be in the description, and catch you later. Peace.